Welcome all to the new iPhone Developer Show. It's been 3 months since the original episode, and we're long overdue for a new one. Okay, before I go any further, I'm going to show you how the game is progressing. Hope you enjoy. Okay, what you just saw there were some early builds of Cora's beginning levels. The game is split up into 3 main types for the 3 main characters. Cora's you just saw there were simple platforming levels where you try and get to point A to point B. There may be enemies in between, but it will be mainly testing your platforming skills. Now, there are also 2 other characters in the game. We have Misha here on the left and Eric on the right. Misha's levels are more open levels. Basically you have to collect a certain amount of items to clear the level, but you can go about it in various different ways. And Erica's on the right spices things up a little by having to evade enemy sight. If you're spotted by enemy, you get chucked back to the beginning of the level, so it's more strategic planning involved. But when all 3 characters do eventually meet up, and they will at some point in the game, you get to play the remaining levels as any of the 3 characters, and you can swap on the fly which character you're going to be to get you through the levels.
Okay, now a sneak peek at some of the level designs, some of the ones you've actually just seen. These are for Cora's, but I'll give you a very quick peek at the others as well. Basically, we've got 4 main objects make up these levels. We've got horizontal and vertical block small and horizontal vertical block long. There are main components for our platform engine at the moment, as well as background objects and background layers, which we saw in the main video. Yep. Here are some extras, and these are just a small part of the main game.
Okay, it's time for the Q&A. Today we've got 3 questions by Surfer0101. If you want to send your questions through, I'll try and answer them for you in the next episode, which should be around a week's time. Okay, question 1. Do I need a Mac to use Apple's SDK? Yes, you do. You need to run it on Mac OS. Unless you want to run some sort of Hackintosh, you'll need a Mac with an Intel processor. Question 2. What software hardware do I need to start writing and selling apps on the App Store? Okay, hardware wise, you need a Mac, again running on an Intel processor. The cheapest Mac you can get is a Mac Mini. Check your local prices for that. Software wise, you need Mac OS and you need Xcode. Xcode is a free download from apple.com/developer, and again it will only run on Mac OS, it doesn't run on Windows. I think that covers that. Question 3. How much will it cost me for hardware, software / books to get started? Okay. Again, hardware wise you need a Mac. Cheapest Mac if you want a budget is a Mac Mini. In the UK at least, I believe the cheapest is £399, or at least it was when I picked mine up about a year ago. Also, you're going to need an iPod Touch or an iPhone to test your stuff on. There is a simulator included in the Xcode, but you're going to need to test it on a physical device. Yeah, again, search for local prices for iPods and iPhones. They're the only physical components you're going to need. Okay, software wise, you got your Mac OS, comes with your Mac. You need download Xcode with the SDK, apple.com/developer. The other thing you need to pay money for is the SDK license though. It costs $99 a year or the equivalent, depending on your country. Okay, and books wise, on my first episode of how to make an iPhone game in 30-day challenge, I bought 2 books which were quite helpful to me. If you wanted to see what they were, you can check out the original episode, but to be quite frank, when I bought those books, the SDK prohibited publishing about the SDK itself. So there were no books directly on creating iPhone games, but there are now. So go to your Amazon.com or equivalent bookstore and find games for iPhone game development, because there are an abundance of them. So yeah, that's what I recommend. You can jot these figures up yourself there. That's all you need to get started. Okay, as I said, send your questions in, I'll answer for you next time. Anyway, for now, this has been Leuvsion. Hope you enjoyed.